Welcome to M Go Bucks. Got two Buckeye fans that are very, very happy right now. I'm not sure why. But anyway,
Hell
congratulations.
yeah! Let's go.
I'll turn it over to you guys.
I'm so
As
fucking happy right now for Ryan Day. I can't even, I have no words. Like, the man has been through so much shit. I am so fucking happy for this team. I can't even put it into words. I mean, it's unbelievable. The gauntlet they went through, I don't give a shit. Yeah, sure, they didn't beat Michigan. They didn't win the Big Ten title, but we won this damn thing. And we need to keep changing the format every year because every time they change the format of this playoff, Ohio
they
State
win.
wins it. Let's go. Next year it's six teams. Then it's
That's
16.
right.
Let's keep it going. Let's go. Ohio
Good.
State, man. You
Let's
can't
go
say enough about
Bucks.
this team, man. Let's go.
Let's go Bucks from Amos.
Let's
Yeah, I mean, that
go.
was so close to being a blowout. I mean, we're up 31-7, and then
Yeah,
we
the
just
fumble.
got a little conservative, but that fumble by Mecca, he made an
No, that's my
unbelievable
favorite part.
play. Yeah,
My favorite part
he made a
is
great run, and then that the guy that tackled him made a really good play on the ball, like just
my
barely. It was just barely a fumble,
my
but yeah,
favorite
that
part
that was
was
crucial.
my favorite part was the last drive where Ohio State's like earth, and then we're gonna realize, oh yeah, we have Jeremiah Smith. Let's just throw to him.
Yeah. That was the only pass the whole second. Like, what are you doing? Like, just because you're winning doesn't mean you just stop throwing to the best player in the world. Like, come on. They just
Yeah, it
got a
was
little
great.
too conservative. Like,
Look,
playing way too.
I give Notre Dame a lot of credit. They have a lot of fight in them, and really, I thought they made a mistake early in the second half. Not they went away from what they do. They're not a throwing team. They have to run the football. That first drive, I mean, Notre Dame could not have scripted a better first quarter than they did.
Where's
10
Antoine
minutes
at?
off the clock. I mean, 10 minutes off the clock, and they drove the ball down the field, scored the touchdown, and really went away from that offense until the midway through the third quarter. That the way they came out after Ohio State they hadn't stopped Ohio State the entire game, and they just completely abandoned their run game. There was still a lot of time left, and I felt like really before the Egbuka fumble, that game was over. And then Notre Dame was like, "Oh yeah, let's just go back to what we do because there's plenty of time left."
What did you
And
see
Yeah, they
Jeremiah
ruined it.
Love's stats for
Hey,
the
hey,
game?
by the way, I need Antoine on here too because I need some support. I need some Wolverine support
Yeah,
right now.
well,
So definitely need some Antoine. Heck yeah.
Yeah, I think Jeremiah Love only had like 3 or 4
he
carries for
was
5 yards or
That was
something.
terrible.
but the problem was that Jeremiah Love wasn't the focal point anyway. We all knew the vulnerability of this offense is the quarterback run, and it was Riley Leonard that was the focal point of that offense.
Yeah, I
As long
mean,
as he could
he's the
convert
focal point, but
third downs.
it doesn't mean you just abandon your running back completely.
No, but he wasn't healthy. I mean, he's going to give you what he can give you. But the point was that what I thought was really interesting was that did you notice how many quarterback runs were up the middle?
Yeah.
So what they were trying to do is they were trying to do like an inverted veer, and they're trying to fake you with the outside run and basically run a Riley Leonard on quarterback draw or on inverted veer right up the middle. The weakness of the defense they felt like was in the middle, so they were double teaming the tackles, and then the linebackers were at a depth they couldn't come up and fill the gaps. So when they wanted quarterback run, they had it the whole game, and they never really stopped it. The fact was that Riley Leonard really was. I mean, he made some throws in the second half, but in the first half in particular, he was very poor throwing the ball.
Yeah, I think most of it though was the receivers making plays more so than him making throws. I mean, there was just a lot. There was a lot of missed tackles there too.
Yeah, it's fair. And we all knew that we talked about in the preview. You got to put pressure on Ohio State's defensive backs and see if they hold up. And man, there were a shitload of penalties in that second half.
Yeah,
Yeah, there was.
There were a lot.
Igbinosin had two there in the
Oh,
second
and he,
half.
he could have had
He
more
was
than that.
showing up.
Hancock
Yeah,
Hancock had one. I mean, they were very handsy. But holy crap, Matt, there was a holding call on an Ohio State opponent.
See, I
called it.
I knew they were just going to do a token holding call to get it out of the way, so they would.
But it was crucial.
A token call.
But it was crucial. It after a false start, it put them in second and what was it, like 25, and in the second drive of the game, and that was a huge part of the game because until Egbuka fumbled, Notre Dame never stopped Ohio State's offense. They never did.
Yeah.
I mean, just imagine if Will Howard didn't overthrow Tate in the corner of the end zone, like that would have been game over there.
That was game over. How about Howard missing the throw to Smith on the third down with 6 minutes to go? That was game over. But I will say Howard played great.
He did.
Howard
missed throws. They were.
Howard in the first half was remarkable. And Quinshon Judkins. Oh my God, did Quinshon Judkins have a game? Quinshon motherfucking Judkins. That dude, he was the MVP of the game.
Yeah, you know what I was going to say? The interesting thing I was telling people about the cool thing about our running backs is it's almost always they just rotate who's going to have a good game. Like it's just like one guy, is playing okay or playing well, but then the other guy steps up, and that's like such an important thing about having two elite running backs because you're not going to have an elite game every week, but if you have two elite guys, then one of the two is almost certainly going to step up, and in the playoffs, at least one of our running backs had a big game every week. So
but the other thing about them is they actually were a compliment to one another because I thought Henderson was an outstanding playmaker in space, but he was never a really good between the tackles runner. Quinshon Judkins is very, very good between the tackles runner.
Unbelievable.
Hey, listen to this though. I want to point something out here real quick and then get to Mitchell's comment here about Ryan Day. So I'm looking at the overall stats. Notre Dame total yards was pretty off. It was 445 Ohio State to 308 Notre Dame. But Notre Dame actually outpassed Ohio State. 255 passing yards to 2.
Yeah, I mean, losing
to Riley Leonard,
the rushing yardage.
Look, man, Riley Leonard played. Riley Leonard played a good game. It is. Right. Well, but
that tells the story. That's why they lost right there. I mean,
well, when we talked about it coming into the game, though, it was like who could stay balanced because Ohio State was one of the most balanced teams in the country all year. And if you could stop, like Texas actually did the best job of Ohio State's run game. And Notre Dame couldn't. That was the tail of the tape because if you can run the ball, then the play action pass comes into play. Like everything Ohio State wants to do, they had it in their bag. And really, they were just dominant offensively, especially in the first half. Like Notre Dame had no answers for what Ohio State wanted to do.
Well, and you know what? That game with Penn State rushing for over 200 yards on Notre Dame, that was not a fluke.
Right? No, it was not a fluke. And we said that. We talked about like that was one of the weaknesses. That was a scary thing for Notre Dame was that Penn State, if they had competent quarterback play, Penn State is in this game. But Drew Aller played like shit in that game, and Will Howard played a very, very good game. And again, Emmanuel Acho was a jackass for saying that Will Howard was the worst quarterback of the four in the playoffs because he played his ass off again today, and Ohio State won largely because of Will Howard.
Who was the defensive MVP? I missed it.
It was Cody Simon. But, I mean, honestly, I feel like, who played a hell of a football game today was JT Tuimoloau. He played a great game today.
He should. He's a superstar 5-star.
Yeah, but, I mean, he didn't. The problem is when you come to Ohio State or now you come to Michigan, Nate, if you get a 5-star defensive end, they're going to be like, oh, the next Aiden Hutchinson. Well, everybody comes to Ohio State's going to be the next Chase Young or Nick Bosa.
The whole team is 5 stars at this point.
And the problem is that those guys, they're all different. JT Tuimoloau is very solid. Jack Sawyer's a solid defensive end. I don't know if those guys are going to end up being like that level, but they were man, JT played his ass off. Those guys played their best. What I'm so happy about them is they played their best football at the end of the year, and they made themselves a ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah, that is so true. And you know what? Jack Sawyer actually reminds me of Aiden Hutchinson and just kind of the trajectory of the like overall career in college. Like Aiden was very much he seemed like a pretty good player for his first 3 years, 2 years that we even noticed him playing. But it wasn't until his senior year and he came back after an injury that he just completely exploded. And that's kind of what happened with Jack Sawyer, it seems like. That dude's going in the first round, I'm guessing, right?
If he's looking, they're looking, I think, late first round. I think he'll make it. I think Tyleek will also make it. In the first, along with the Mecca, and I mean outside chance Henderson makes it, but I still think running backs, unless you're Gentry, I mean he's the only lock in the first round for running back. Outside chance Travion will make it, but more than likely it'll be like early second.
Well, and Brian, you mentioned Ryan Day. You're happy for Ryan Day, and Mitchell's has a comment up here. Is Ryan Day extended for the next 5 to 6 years? Like, so what is next for Ryan Day? I'm wondering.
I mean, he's a top 3 winning.
Is happening.
Yeah, I mean, if he wants to stay at Ohio State, he can stay as long as he wants now.
Yeah.
I mean, he has the top 3 highest winning percentage of all time, national title. Go
there
Blue.
You go.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of what he wants. Does he want to move on to the NFL now because he doesn't want to deal with the stress and the fans that are some of the fans are a little bit too crazy and with the threats and everything? Or
he's happy now. But
I think the guy can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
An NFL team out there right now probably wants the Ryan Day Chip Kelly package. And
but the thing is, like, I mean,
dirty.
Hell, Ryan Day, I mean, especially with Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly's run his course in the NFL. I don't know where Chip Kelly goes from there, but the thing is, like, those guys now, they have the formula to succeed in the NIL era. They have the support. They have the structure. And, oh, by the way, if you want to come back, you likely have Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs at least for one more year. You know, that I honestly, here's my take on the difference in this game. The biggest difference in this game is that when push comes to shove, Notre Dame tried to take away Jeremiah Smith, tried to take away Egbuka, and Ohio State's number 3 and number 4 receivers are going to play in the NFL. Brandon Ennis is better than Notre Dame's number 1 receiver. He is Ohio State's number 4 receiver. So for all the people that want to say, you know, Ohio State's a finesse team, they're a flag football team, they're 7-on-7 because they're recruiting all his receivers. They finally got a competent quarterback because Will Howard is exponentially better than Kyle McCord. They got an inside the tackles runner to complement Travion Henderson and Quinshon.
That was huge. That was like the Lions offense. So we're basically the Lions without a bad defense.
and they got when you want to match up man to man, our number 4 receiver is better than your number 1 receiver, and ultimately that's what won the game. If you want to take away 1 and 2, we have last year. Number 3 was Cade Stover. This year, number 3 is Carnell Tate. This year, number 4 is Brandon Ennis, who is also going to play in the NFL. Like, ultimately, the Jimmies and Joes beat the X's and O's. And that's the way it went. And those guys are all coming back next year. And you have 2 guys
hopefully Judkins comes back. That would be amazing.
I mean, but even if Quinshon doesn't come back, we know we're losing Will Howard. But my point is that you have, you know, unless something crazy happens, you have Caleb Downs, who, if his career trajectory continues, that dude is going to have a Hall of Fame jacket in the NFL. He is going to be Troy Polamalu, Ed Reed type safety in the NFL. Jeremiah Smith is going to be Julio Jones. Like, you have 2 future Hall of Fame NFL players on your roster right now who would be top 5 NFL picks, but they are not eligible, and they are coming back. That is the real deal.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, my gosh, Julio Jones is a good actual comparison for Jeremiah Smith. Yeah, for sure. I was thinking Megatron at first, maybe like shorter Megatron, but I don't know, man. Do you think it's more like Megatron, just a shorter Megatron?
I don't
remember seeing enough of.
I don't know if anyone can compare to him. I mean, he was a complete.
I know,
but dude, the fact that you're even bringing his name up, and this kid is a 19-year-old.
All right,
he's 19 years old.
This is an interesting comment by Mitchell. He says, "Shout out to the Michigan host on this channel. Awesome for pushing through. Thank you to Michigan for beating us in that game this year.
Hell yes.
That loss to Michigan, we don't win the Natty.
Mitchell, I love you, dude. Mitchell, I love you, brother.
That at all.
I do.
I don't. I don't. I do. Ohio State needed Michigan to beat them in order to
We're way too reactive. We don't proactively fix things, Nate.
And Matt said that. Matt has said that. Matt has said that consistently. And I agree 100%. I love Ryan Day so much, but the one thing that's bad about it is he's reactive. Yep, he's reactive.
No,
it takes bad things.
Yeah.
Michigan and Oregon and Texas to some degree showed some of the structural weaknesses, and Ohio State was able to respond to those. I think the biggest thing with Michigan was, hey man, you can't play not to lose. You got to play to win. And they came out in this playoff playing to win.
But the difference with the Michigan game is Will Howard was playing terrible. He threw that interception right.
He did
really close
and I think it was a huge
him in that game. That was.
It was not. I don't think it was that they didn't trust him. I think for one thing they built it up so much that he felt he played tight. He played tight and he got rocked early by that safety on the quarterback heat. And he never played right in that game. He played tight in that game, and they did a great job of keeping him loose. And he played loose this whole playoff until the very maybe a little bit in the fourth quarter of this Notre Dame game. But if not for the Michigan game, I don't know that they play like that.
I think that was almost a whole season in itself, the Michigan game. That was inexplicable.
And still, to me, that
you could tell that Ryan Day throughout that game against Michigan was just trying desperately to get a lead. It didn't matter if it was 1 point or if it was
they could never get the second score.
Kicking field goals and running. He kept running the ball on 3rd and 8. He did that 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, they could never get that second score.
Yeah,
they never get the separation.
I felt like the Texas game was still a national title. Like they were the only team that I felt like could actually legitimately get pressure on Howard. And Notre Dame never got pressure on him, just a tiny bit here and there.
I honestly felt like the Ohio State-Oregon game was the title.
Well, maybe I don't think it's just because of how much we blew them out.
But Oregon was a damn good football team. I mean, I would love to have seen a consolation. I'd love to see a consolation game between Oregon and Texas. But that'd have been a fun game to see. But Ohio State, man, they beat everybody. They beat everybody. No one could ever take that away. That was a gauntlet. That was a gauntlet they just ran. I mean, they beat Tennessee at home after the Michigan game. They beat Oregon on the West Coast in Pasadena. They go to Dallas and beat Texas in Texas. And then they beat Notre Dame to finish this thing off. No one's ever done it like that.
Also, is the first team to ever have 5 top 5 wins in a year. No one's ever had that.
Dude, you can never say that Ryan Day can't win a big game. You can't say that Ryan Day isn't a winner.
His top 5 record just got completely turned around in 1 year.
Yeah.
Ohio State is the most successful 2-loss team ever in college football history.
Thank you for expanding the playoffs, which is exactly what I said from the very beginning.
Yeah, Josh K had an interesting comment about that, how the expanded playoff is never going to allow a Cinderella team to win. It's going to allow a juggernaut who's had a couple letdowns throughout the year a chance to get hot and win.
All you did was guarantee that. We always thought it would be like an Ohio State or an Alabama. Now it's just going to be like
a 2-loss Ohio State or Bama or LSU is going to get in, get hot, and win.
Yep. Thank you. But football is not basketball. Football is not basketball. Boise States are not going to win. All you did was just open up an largely underachieving Ohio State team to winning a national title. Because last year, this team last year, you would have said, "Holy shit, what an underachieving team this was."
That's because they never would have made the playoffs. A 14 playoff, Ohio State would have been left out to play like 3-loss Alabama.
Goddamn right. Like that. For losing a one.
So let me ask you this. Does that mean, like, I hated seeing the SMUs, the Arizona States. I hated seeing those teams in this playoff.
Arizona State played fine. It was Boise and SMU.
Boise. I mean, they got
well.
So look at what happened with Ohio State. You guys were down and out, lost to a terrible Michigan team, 2 losses.
Yep. Yeah.
And were able to have the chance to go into the playoffs and completely reinvent yourselves and win the national title. So it's almost like I would have much rather have seen, and I'm not advocating for more SEC teams, but I would have much rather seen Alabama and Ole Miss and some of these other teams that could have put up a better fight rather than the Boise States and the SMUs.
Here's the problem, Nate.
Who says they can't reinvent themselves?
No, but here's the problem, Nate. Here's the problem. You want to blame the committee for this? You have to blame Miami.
Sure.
No. Stop. No. Time out. The team you want to blame right now is Mario Cristobal and fucking Miami, because Miami had a horrible loss that basically put two shitty ACC teams. Everybody with eyeballs knew the ACC sucked this year.
So
what everybody wanted was Miami.
Cal McCord screwed it all up for everybody.
Everybody wanted Miami to play SMU, and then only one of those teams would have gotten in. And the committee slotted Alabama to be the team to get in. And then Miami lost to a shitty Syracuse team and Kyle McCord. And that opened the door for 2 SEC teams to get in, because SMU, even though they lost the ACC championship, had to get in this playoff, and they were dog shit. And you knew you were going to get a group of 5. That's fine. The committee will fix the seeding next year. It won't be this bad. But Matt said it all along that the team that lost the Big Ten championship game would have the easiest bracket. Penn State, because their fucking coaches suck, were not in the national championship game. That's the only reason that Penn State was not in this game. How Penn State did not beat Notre Dame is unexplainable, other than James Franklin.
Yeah.
James Franklin.
The second half plan.
Fucking Franklin.
Is what happened.
You run for 200 yards, you win the turnover battle, and you lose the game. James Franklin. That's it should have been Penn State and Ohio State playing again for the title. But then again, Oregon should have done better than to draw Ohio State. That's your reward for winning the Big Ten.
Okay, so can we agree on one thing? All of those conferences are not created equal. Is that a true statement?
Oh, 100%.
So 100%. SMU, granted they're in the ACC now, and they probably deserve to be there, honestly. I mean, compared they had 1 loss and they're in a big conference. Deserve it, but they got to figure out some way to get those teams out of there at some point. But anyway.
Clemson didn't. I mean, the problem is when you end up getting 2 and 3 lost teams in because they won their champ. Like Clemson was a shit team this year. They won their conference, so they ended up in the playoff. And honestly, they were the most competitive of the 4 semi games. Although looking back, everybody wanted to bang on Indiana.
The two best teams.
Indiana was actually pretty decent.
Yeah, they didn't have any signature wins, but you're right. They were good. They were a good team.
They weren't bad.
Bash them too bad.
Yeah, I mean, just like Texas. Texas didn't have any signature wins either.
But in a normal year, that really should have been Michigan,
and
right?
Look
at
this
in a normal year.
Yeah, it should have been Michigan, sure. And this comment right here, speaking to that, by Mitchell. I watch you guys talk every vid. You might be a favorite Michigan fan. Thanks. Shout out to you, Mitchell. Is Michigan or Ohio State on top of the college football world right now? Fuck us.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment about that.
Michigan just won a national title last year. Ohio State just won one this year.
I've been arguing with SEC fans on Twitter a lot lately.
Mitchell, I love you, brother.
The big narrative today, I don't know if you guys saw this, but all the fans from I think SEC, like Georgia and Alabama fans and all these other schools that mostly SEC that didn't even make it, they were all complaining, saying that there hasn't been much hype for this this title game, and there's like a lack of interest. And I was just replying to them. I think you guys keep tweeting this like throughout the game, saying there's going to be bad numbers and this lack of interest, but there sure is a lot of people talking about how there's a lack of interest. Like everyone's complaining about that.
Yeah.
And of course, there's going to be big numbers. I mean, there may be a little bit bigger number.
It's Notre Dame and Ohio State, bro.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if it was like Ohio State versus an SEC team, because you would have geographically more of the country involved. But Notre Dame is a worldwide brand, and Ohio State's a huge brand too. So you're going to get huge numbers, and it's maybe down a little bit just because it's. We had a lot of stuff going on today, like, playoffs. It's already the second week of the playoffs. It's inauguration day. There's a lot of stuff going on today, and it's also really late in the season. So people are maybe a little worn out just because this playoff has taken so long. I mean, I'm not, but, maybe other people are. But we'll see when the numbers come out. I think they'll be really good.
Yeah, I think they'll be really good.
Did you guys just see, by the way, just unrelated, that Ryan Day is the youngest coach to win the national championships since Urban Meyer?
Really? No.
Wow.
I'm not surprised, though. He's a pretty young dude.
I just saw that on ESPN, 45.
So you think this will help our recruiting, Pee-Wee?
I mean, I don't really know. I mean, it really comes down now, like the NIL is a completely different deal. I have no idea. It isn't going to hurt. But the crazy thing to me is like, just the sea change. I mean, we talked about this, that, before when like car dealership money was getting handed out of McDonald's bags in the South when it was illegal, and now that NIL is legal, there's a shit ton of Fortune 500 companies in the North, guys, and a lot of really good coaches. Yeah. So it's game on, and with the transfer portal, like talent's watered down. And now we have an expanded playoff, so you have a shot. If you get in the dance, you have a chance. If you're playing hot, I mean, it's just a different world. Like I think the even the 4-team playoff was the 4 times. Like we're just in a different era of football now. I mean, it's you just got to take the success and enjoy it when you got it.
I think it's going to be almost impossible to go undefeated now, too, with this many games.
It'll be difficult, but also you got to look about the changes, what happens in the coaching staff, too, because success breeds change.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's so hard. It's so hard.
Are you guys going to have your wide receivers coach forever? Because it doesn't sound
no.
That way.
I mean, I think Brian Hartline's not going to stay here forever, but, the reality, that's a big deal. I mean, who knows? Who knows if you can retain – that's the thing. Here's the thing. So Nate, thank you for bringing this up because I wanted to get this out. I am so tired of hearing about the $20 million roster because, hey, everyone in the world that pays attention to college football, there were 2 teams that paid more than Ohio State for their roster this year that did not win. That's one issue. The second issue is the thing you don't talk about is how much you pay for your coaching staff. And Ohio State paid an insane amount of money for their coaching staff. Chip Kelly was a head coach in the NFL and at UCLA and took a step down to be the offensive coordinator at Ohio State. Like their coaching staff this year, when you look back, is going to be one of those like an all-star team. And that is a huge reason why they won. It is, and they spent an insane amount of money on their coaches.
How much was
are you going to do that?
You probably don't.
I think offensive and defensive were both at least.
Got to be a couple $1 million. Got to be a couple.
Yeah,
he
would have. Our line is making at least $1.5 million.
But I know Wink Martindale's making 2.5, something like that.
Yeah,
I know someone on some channel, and I forgot that Wink Martindale would be the 4th highest paid coordinator in the NFL with that salary. So,
and honestly,
just starting to pay salaries the way that NFL is starting to pay salaries for coordinators.
And you have more. The crazy thing is, like in the NFL, it is so hard to win. That and if you hang around for a couple of years, your staff gets fired, you're done. I mean, you forget these people are human beings. You come to a place that has a 10-win perennial, a 10-win perennial college football program.
Yeah, your job security is a lot better in Ohio State than the NFL. Like if you're going to the Bears or the Raiders, like odds of you like sticking around there for more than a couple of years are pretty slim.
That is true.
Even if you're making
Ryan Day's got to think
about
that. But hey, let's talk about, because we're talking about the future a little bit, let's talk about Mitchell's comment here. Does Bryce Underwood outdo Julian Baller saying? We know he's a baller. I haven't seen him very much.
Well, I mean, I guess he might. We still have to see if for sure if Sayin is going to be the quarterback. I mean, isn't there an outside chance we could still get somebody?
I'll let you guys take that for a minute. I'll chime in after your comments.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's as of right now, Sayin is almost guaranteed to be the starter. I think if we do get a veteran, I think it's just going to be as a backup. And Tavian St. Clair apparently came from a really small district or whatever.
Yep.
He played really bad competition, so people are suggesting that it's going to take him a while to get ready to playing in a college ball. So you're going to give him a year or two to learn, and Sayin will be a good starter. We're going to have 4 offensive linemen back to play, but we still need and then we got the 2 tackles in the portal. So we still need some tackle depth, though. Hopefully in the spring portal we can get some more tackle depth, because otherwise we're going to be relying on some really young players that don't have any experience. And we saw this year how dangerous that can be when you lose a couple tackles. I mean, I don't want that situation again. But the scary part is really on our defense.
So Nate, where are you at with Michigan and their quarterback situation?
They brought in a transfer quarterback, Mikey Keene, out of Fresno State. He's kind of like got that baller kind of mentality. He's a pretty good quarterback. We played.
How did he do against you guys this year?
Not great, but he started bringing the team back in the game, and he's been a good quarterback. I mean, Bryce Underwood, I'm guessing, is probably going to take over the starting role maybe halfway through. That's just my guess. But, I mean, who knows? They're freshmen, right? I mean, we haven't even seen Julian Sayin this year at all, except for mop-up duty once or something.
And it was not impressive.
Yeah, and so you just can't tell what a freshman's going to come in and do. But they're already, and speaking of the money thing, like, I don't think anyone cares about the $20 million for a roster sounds pretty paltry now. I mean, compared to, like, so much has happened in a year. Excuse me. And like Michigan's already paying $12 million just for one recruit that's never played. So
starting next year, I guarantee
$20 million.
Knows
what the number is going to be next year for
the top 20 teams are all going to have $20 million.
I'm on the record as saying, if I were coaching, I am taking the Dan Lanning approach every single season. I am in the portal. I want a guy who has played at least 1,500 snaps to run my offense. I don't give a shit about your talent. I want a guy who can recognize a blitz and can get the ball where it needs to go. And an incredibly hard position to play. I don't think people that have a casual football knowledge have half a clue how hard playing quarterback really is at a high level.
Yeah.
You can have all the talent in the world. You can be coming from the greatest high school offense in the country. You go to a college offense, it's different. You go from college, you can see the greatest college quarterback you've ever seen. He can suck ass when he gets to the NFL because you're like, why? Well, because there are levels to these things. Like it's so hard. It takes so long. And when you're a Michigan, when you're in Ohio State, when you're an Alabama, are you going to be willing to deal with a young quarterback's mistakes? Because they're going to make them. They're going to make them. So you have to, you know, kind of decide. And now I will say the 12 team playoff helps the top tier programs far more with that because you can have a young guy. You can have a young guy potentially make mistakes early in his in a season and come back from them. Much harder when it was like, oh shit, if you get two losses, you're done. You have no shot in the playoff. Well, now obviously Ohio State just won a national title with two losses, so it gives you a little more leeway.
One more thing I wanted to add on to your statement. The interesting thing about that too is it's going to also, I think, depend. Like you can sort of look at it year by year, depending on what your schedule looks like, because you have at least a couple losses that you can manage
Absolutely.
year to year. So, like for instance, Ohio State has a really easy schedule next year, aside from opening with Texas.
Texas, yeah.
Next year would be the good year to break in a young quarterback because we have an easy schedule. We don't need an experienced quarterback until we get to the playoffs, and he'll be experienced. Now, granted, it's still ultimately still a big advantage to have somebody that has multiple years of experience, like Howard and like how many. Look at all the top quarterbacks over the last couple of years. Like all these guys are transfer quarterbacks, Bo Nix even, and like Jaden Daniels. Like these guys have had a lot of experience.
Well, how do you handle though, like all of the when you bring in transfers and you basically have these talented quarterbacks that are young that you recruited out of high school, you constantly portaling over them. Like at some point you've got to balance that out though. Right?
Yeah, no, that's
at some point, like Julian Sands, like, okay, hey, I hung out here for a year. If Ryan Day brings in another quarterback, let's pretend that like some superstar quarterback comes in. Like Texas quarterback.
Yeah, like so Manning is the exception. Most quarterbacks aren't going to sit for 2 years.
Total exception. Quinn Ewers says, hey, I'm not going to go to the NFL. Hey, Ryan Day, I'll come to Ohio State. Let's just say that happened. I mean, it probably won't, but let's just say it did. I mean, Ryan Day's probably like, yeah, I'll do that because why wouldn't he? Why would he like roll the dice with Julian Sand when he could get a quarterback that's like a senior?
And next year too, Nate, year too will be interesting because there's going to be a bunch of first year starting quarterbacks that are either freshmen or redshirt freshmen across the country.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, and Ohio State. Now, is Quinshon Judkins coming back?
We don't know yet.
We don't know yet? Well, yeah. And that's the thing about playing this late in the season. Your portal is kind of messed up.
Oh, post Diego's comment. Post Diego's comment. You're no longer defending national champions, Nate.
Won't join us, but hey, that's all right. I've got it on DVR, dude. I got it on DVR, and we are only one of two teams.
As soon as the NCAA comes and revokes your national title for cheating, I'm coming to your house and deleting that shit.
If that actually happens, I'll actually lose a bet to you. I can't remember what exactly we bet, but I know we have a bet about any games that are being
something. I think I bet that you would have to lose a bowl ban or something was the bet, I believe.
Ethan, is that true? Sayin gets the keys. I mean, but think about it. Like, I think Ryan Day would take Quinn Ewers, right? You would take him if you wanted to come.
I mean, there's an outside chance. I mean, just because he declared it, he still has until February or something to actually come back. He could come back if he wants. So if he changes his mind and we offer him enough money, he could come and play.
Well, yeah. Plus, Ryan Day is going to get an experienced quarterback in 2025, and then you've got that other superstar quarterback you were just talking about. From Bill Fountain.
So it just depends on whether they're cool
next year
to sit on the bench and learn for another year.
Yeah, and maybe Sayin never takes a snap again at Ohio State, but who cares if you're Ryan Day? You're getting Quinn Ewers, and then you're going to that superstar stud.
It's not happening.
No, it's not. I mean, this is hypothetical.
No. I'm saying like no.
I'm just saying
no.
Quarterback, right?
Stop. No, because Quinn Ewers, no. So
well, it doesn't have to be Quinn Ewers. It could be another awesome quarterback that wants to.
No. Just let's talk about Ewers. So, you have to take it in context. If Ryan Day and Kelly are back, Ewers does not fit the offense.
That's true.
He does not fit the offense.
Yeah.
So like,
it depends if Kelly's gonna be back or not. I mean, we have no idea if he's.
I mean, we have no idea. But in the current context,
he needs a running quarterback. Yeah.
Quinn Ewers does not fit their offense. Like Will Howard may not be C.J. Stroud, but he was exactly what Ohio State needed this year. Like Will Howard is an Ohio State legend going forward because he was the perfect read option RPO quarterback. He may never be a great NFL quarterback, but he was what they needed. Like, I don't know. McCord may be a better NFL quarterback, but McCord was not a championship caliber quarterback. Like, honest to God, if you would have put
college quarterbacks running is so much more important. I mean, you need
if you would have had if you could have like JJ McCarthy wanted to come to Ohio State, if you would have had JJ McCarthy, Ryan Day, and fucking this offensive coordinator, Chip Kelly, Ryan Day, and JJ McCarthy, they would have won because McCarthy was perfect for this read option type of offense.
Yeah, but I'm looking at Julian Sayen's high school stats. He's not a runner either, really.
No,
I mean
we don't know.
He had like 186 rush yards. I mean, does a little in high school, like 186 rush yards in his senior year.
No, he's not a runner. So who knows? I don't know that Julian Sayin now. Ryan Day swears up and down that Julian Sayin is going to have a good Ohio State career. He's been on record saying it. I don't know. I mean, I trust Ryan Day. Ryan Day's got a hell of a record.
Yes,
the only blip.
Yeah.
The only blip to Ryan Day's career as a quarterback developer is that he picked Kyle McCord over JJ McCarthy. That's the only.
That was basically, it was just done for a reason. He did it so he could develop McCord, so he could transfer to Syracuse, so Syracuse could upset Miami, and then Miami would then be out of the playoffs, and then allow two teams from the ACC to get in, and then the two SEC teams wouldn't make it in. So it was all part of Ryan Day's.
Okay,
dude. I mean, that's 3D chess, man.
I got to say something that Matt said on the last call. Right, Will Howard doesn't run that much either. And
did you watch tonight?
I mean,
so the difference.
Did you watch the game tonight? Did you watch the game?
I said not tonight.
Yeah. So he has the ability to run. There's a difference between not having the ability, and so we basically we were saving him for big games. He has the ability, and like in big games, you need to have a quarterback that can do what he did today.
Yeah, and Ryan Day doesn't recruit quarterbacks.
And against Texas, he had a big run against Texas too.
Yeah,
Ryan Day doesn't care about running. He cares more about passing. He's a passing.
No, he's
Ryan Chip Kelly. You're right. You're right on Chip Kelly, but Ryan.
I think Ryan Day. If you talk to Ryan Day, he understands. Like, man, modern quarterback play is occasionally you have to make plays. Well, watch the NFL, Nate. Like every quarterback, unless you're Peyton Manning or Drew Brees. Or Brady even, like you've got to make a play with your legs. occasionally. Like you have to be at least a threat.
Detroit Lions are doing pretty good.
But he has to. But you watch Goff. You watch Goff, and even Goff is really good in the pocket. You know,
they had a superstar offensive team, though. I mean, like anyone, I could make plays just doing 5-yard jump offs to
got all those wide receivers, got all those.
I mean, their offense. Their offense is so similar to Ohio State's this year. So we had Emeka with 1,000 yards, and Jeremiah with 1,000 yards, and then Quinshon with 1,000 yards, and Travion Henderson with 1,000 yards, and I think they all had like 10 touchdowns each too. So it was like such an incredible stat line for those guys across the season.
And Egbuka quietly became the Ohio State career receptions leader.
And as soon as I sent that text, he fumbled. That's just bad luck.
You jinxed.
I totally jinxed him.
Emeka Egbuka on that. But real quick, because I have to jump off here because I don't hate myself enough to keep celebrating with you guys about a national title for Ohio State. But I do have to ask you. So I've been told for years and years and years that from Ohio State fans that they could lose every single game in the season and beat Michigan, and that would be a success, and vice versa. They could win every single game throughout the year and the national title, but if they lost to Michigan, that game this year would not be a success. So how do you guys feel about that?
No.
Well, I mean, for me, like I like, obviously you want to beat Michigan too, but I think it's just starting to become a different era where it's something that you want to win, but you just look at the NFL. It's like NFL light at this point where you're having a playoff that's almost as big as the NFL, and I'm sure that the Chiefs aren't going to care if they lose to someone in their conference as long as they win the title, right? They're not going to be like, I think the Oregon Twitter handle today like posted a Big Ten champion best regular season record like tweet today, and everyone was mocking him for it because no one cares about the regular season. Like it's a new era. I mean, hopefully he can get over the hump and beat Michigan a few times too, but I mean, it's all about the national title. Like people are holding, you got to put those. You win the Heisman, you win the national title. That's what you're playing for nowadays.
So it's all about the national title now.
Nate. So Michigan.
You don't get a banner.
Michigan had 2 losses. Lost to a 6-5 Ohio State, but just won the national title. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good.
Fuck yeah, you are.
I mean, I am going to do the mental gymnastics to make myself feel good.
Fuck yeah.
Absolutely.
No, I mean, look, man.
And honestly, I'm doing a lot of mental gymnastics right now because we did beat Ohio State. So I'm like
I told you.
It's a win-win, right? If you guys win the national title, then we beat the national champion.
Absolutely.
If you guys lose, then I can make fun of you. So it was a win-win, but it's also a lose-lose.
Nate, I told you that when we did the season preview. I said, for Michigan, you knew it was going to be a down year. It was a one-game season. They won it. They beat Ohio State. For Ohio State, it wasn't going to be that because there was a chance to win the whole thing, and they rallied and they never taken it away.
Yeah, it's super impressive to be able to come back from losing that game.
You're never taking that away, man. I was talking. My son was at a quarterback camp on Sunday, and I was talking to a guy who was a Notre Dame fan, who's the football coach, and we were talking about that. And he asked me point blank. He's like, "So you're an Ohio State fan?" He goes, "You got the choice to beat Michigan or win the national championship. Which one you picking?" I go, "National championship," without even blinking. And he's like, "There are some weird Ohio State fans who would pick beating Michigan." And I'm like,
yeah, that's true.
It also was different before because prior to the playoffs, if you lost to Michigan, you weren't going to the Rose Bowl. And then prior to the expanded playoffs, if you lost to Michigan, most likely you're not going to the playoffs either. So it had the normal amount of pressure and build up because you had to win that game, and now it's like sort of like optional. You want to win, but it doesn't.
A little bit, but it's not like you're going to.
We are the champions, my friend.
You have the chance to play and beat Michigan and vice versa, Ohio State, every single year, but you don't necessarily have the chance to win the national title every single year, right?
And it's also
we
funny.
Not going to be playing in a national title game every year.
Fourth place in the Big Ten with a national title.
Hey Matt, the number 8 seed just won the national title.
8 seed.
And the last time we won it, we were the number 4 seed.
Yeah, I mean,
we are the champions, my friends.
Yeah,
I'm going to be so much Ohio State gear to the next few weeks. It's going to be fun.
You guys are a big hat, no cattle.
Look, man. Here's for MGO Bucks. Here's the great thing: is this couldn't have gone better on a down year for Michigan after winning a national title last year. Ohio State wins, but they lost to Michigan. So you guys get bragging rights, we get bragging rights, and we get to go into next year with all the banter. Because you know what? Fuck the SEC, because back-to-back Big Ten title champs, and the Big Ten is dominating the shit. Because you know who's dominating the portal?
SEC fans.
Michigan,
so true.
Oregon. Like we're coming.
Ohio State so much. They are seething right now.
And you weren't even at the table. You weren't even at the table. You know who was at the table in the semifinals? Texas, who isn't even a real SEC team.
Exactly.
It's the first year in there, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's not a real SEC team. That's a Big 12 team.
So Brian, do you actually think that Penn State is going to be able to make a serious run next year just because they have Aller and their 2 running backs coming back? I mean, they're losing their defensive coordinator and they're losing a lot of their defensive players, and they still have James Franklin. So, what's changing here?
Okay, so yes and no. I will always say that James Franklin is our secret weapon.
Yeah.
I think until they get some receivers again, they are not going to be a threat.
They lost their best receiver to the SEC, actually.
Yeah, and Aller for
2 years in a row.
Look, man,
next year.
I'll give you the real deal right now. Aller is fantastic in shorts and a t-shirt. Aller, he looked good in the Oregon game with his pocket management. I couldn't believe how badly he played against Notre Dame. He's got a lot to fucking prove. And I love their running backs. I love their offensive line. I think they got a long way to go. I think the
we lose you, Brian? Sounds like we lost Brian.
No, I'm here.
All right.
I'm here.
Sounds like you were cutting out there.
No, so here's what I think is really cool. It's the NIL era that you can even entertain this, because 4 or 5 years ago, these guys would have been long gone to the NFL. It is super cool that you can even bring your guys back and make a run. Do I think they have a shot? Sure, because that team was very close to a national title game this year. I think Oregon is going to be a force.
Yeah, Oregon's
a force. Michigan will be better. Michigan's doing very well in the portal. Ohio State will be right there. I think right now, if you look at the landscape of college football, the Big Ten is a real force. Like the SEC used to be the dominant conference. They are legitimately in a position where they may lose that mantle, where the Big Ten may take the shit over right now.
I mean, between Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, and Michigan next year and next couple of years, like those are all going to be top 5 to 10 teams.
Very true.
It's not going anywhere. Like Marcus Freeman has a real thing going. Like the North.
We need to get Notre Dame in the Big Ten too, and we'll really be taking over.
Yeah. Like it's
probably not.
It's the
awesome,
real deal.
It doesn't sound like they're coming.
It's the real deal.
Made all the money they made off this game, they get to keep.
And Kirby and Georgia, they'll be there. And I think Clemson will be a good team. Like I can't wait, man. I can't wait for this to reload. And let's go. I just don't want. Let's go.
Georgia doesn't have an elite quarterback though, and they don't have an elite running back. Their line is questionable. Like I don't know. It seems like they've really fallen off compared to previous years.
Could very well be.
right.
LSU,
All right,
like
guys.
this could be a fun thing, man. It'll be a fun thing.
I got to wrap it up here, but that's awesome. You guys,
Ohio
I
State's
want
the
to hear
champs.
you guys get excited right before we leave.
We
Why don't you guys
are
take
the
us out?
champions.
Thanks to everyone in the
my
chat.
friend.
Michigan sucks.
Go Blue.
You are no longer the defending champions.
That's right.
All right. Bye.
Suck it, Nate.